Now I want to talk about the recommendation letter. For me, my recommendation letters definitely play an important role of my getting into Harvard. In general, I would recommend you to get one teacher from the sciences to write a recommendation letter for you, and a teacher from the social sciences or history to write your second recommendation letter. And these teachers need to know you well. If you have teachers who don't know you very well, then you should try to make some effort to let them know you better. You can, for example, talk to them after class or try to ask some intelligent questions in class. This may sound shallow, but this is legitimate and it's important because the teachers really need to know you well, more than just knowing your name, in order to write a good recommendation letter for you. In addition, I also had 2 extra recommendation letters, one from my piano teacher who knew me since 8th grade, and one from the summer search organization that I mentioned earlier. My extra recommendation letters definitely helped me build a stronger case to the college and convince them that I was a worthy candidate. In general, I would say that if you know 2 adults who know something about you that the 2 school teachers don't, then you should definitely ask them, because the 2 extra recommendation letters can only add to your college package. It won't hurt you. Now I want to talk about the interview. Even though they say that the interview is optional, it really isn't. You should do it. There is no excuse not to do it. There are representatives throughout the nation as well as overseas, so you should definitely sign up for it. The interview is the second most important chance for you to personally convince the colleges that you are a good candidate, that they should admit you. And one thing that I found very helpful for me to prepare for my interview was that the night before the interview, on a sheet of paper, I wrote down the questions that the interviewer could ask me. Questions like, why do you want to go to Harvard? What are some of your extracurricular activities? What are your personalities, and etc. So on that same sheet of paper, I jotted down the key words that I wanted myself to include in my response. And then I practiced rehearsing saying those responses smoothly. Because I had the practice, I felt much more confident during the real interview. The practice really made a difference for me. So my interview turned out to be very smooth because I had the practice, I was confident, and I was able to appear natural. And the questions that my interviewer asked me turned out to be pretty similar than what I had expected. Basically, he asked me why I wanted to go to Harvard, what were my hobbies, how was my high school like, and etc. There was nothing tricky. The whole point of the interview was for them to know that you can interact with people and also you are a thoughtful person. And now I want to go over some basic things about how to do well on the interview. First, you should dress up appropriately. It doesn't have to be fancy, but you just have to be neat. Dress up as if you're going to, say, your sister or brother's graduation ceremony. It will show that you respect the interviewer and the college. Secondly, you should give a firm handshake to the interviewer and look directly into the interviewer's eyes, because again, you want to leave him a good impression of you. Thirdly, on the same day of the interview, send him a thank you email. I actually didn't do this, but a mentor of mine told me that this is a very good technique. And lastly, perhaps most importantly, when the interviewer asks you a question, try to think maybe for like a split second and then give him or her a genuine response. The point is that you cannot fake things up. Don't try to say things that you think might impress him or her. That would not work. The interviewer is an intelligent person. He will find out if you fake things. The last piece of advice I have for you regarding how to increase your chance of admission is that if you have extra time, you can consider participating in some essay contests. There are many, many essay contests online. There are some that ask you to write about the concept of democracy. There are some that ask you to read a book and analyze it. You can only gain from these essay contests, because if you win, you will get a scholarship and you can impress the colleges more. If you lose, no one will ever know. You can only benefit from it because your writing skills will be better if you do these contests. Fastweb.com, for example, has a very good list of available essay contests online, so definitely check that out. I personally didn't do this, but I know some people at Harvard who did this, so that would definitely be nice to have. So now I would like to give you some suggestions on how to study in college. First of all, go to lecture every day and pay attention in class. This might sound trivial, but it really is really important. I know some people who get lazy and skip lectures once in a while, but you simply cannot afford to do that. Because during lecture, the professor points out important things to you in class, and going to lecture will actually save you time, because when you go home and study, you will know what to focus on and what to just skim over. Secondly, you have to review and study your notes consistently. Last-minute cramming just simply does not work in college. And contrary to what a lot of people think, studying consistently actually doesn't take a lot of effort or discipline. You just need to go back to your notes and review them, look up things that you didn't know, and if you do this consistently, you'll find that when the midterms roll around, you'll find that the midterms actually aren't so difficult because you've been doing the study all along. Thirdly, don't write down everything that the professor says. Instead, listen carefully, get the main points, synthesize information, paraphrase it in your own words, and write down those own words in your notebook. Because if you just write down what the professor says without actually processing the information during class, you will have to spend a lot of time outside of class trying to figure out what the professor meant by such and such. Fourthly, every day, I would recommend you to spend about 5 to 10 minutes just to plan your day. If you do this, your day will be so much better. The way I do it is I have a planner in which I record all the important due dates and deadlines for assignments and special events. And every day in the morning, on a piece of paper, I write down everything that I need to get done for that day. And then, next to things that I absolutely have to get done, I put a letter A next to them. And then I put a letter B next to things that are important to get done. And a letter C next to things that are optional that would be nice to get done. There are two benefits to this system. First, if you write it on a sheet of paper, you could refer to it anytime during the day, and so you can feel that you're in control of things throughout the whole day. Secondly, by using the ABC prioritizing system, you will get the main things done first, instead of being bogged down by little things that aren't really necessary. I actually learned this time management technique from my time management workshop over the summer, and so far it's been working great. It's been very helpful to me. My fifth comment on how to study in college is that when you plan your day, make sure that your tasks are specific. So what do I mean by that? For example, instead of writing, do your English essay, write instead, complete your rough draft by today. When you make your tasks more specific, your mind is able to focus much better than if your tasks are vague. My last piece of advice for you is that I would like to recommend you to two great books. One called How to Become a Straight A Student, and the second one is called How to Win at College. Both are written by Cal Newport. The author interviewed many successful students throughout the nation and compiled a list of helpful suggestions on how to succeed academically. I personally found these two books very helpful, and I hope that you'll check them out and see if they're helpful to you.